Today, we talk about The Legend of Zelda, the greatest video game series in the world. And I will tell you, I guarantee you, I will tell you where the next Zelda for the Wii U will take place in the timeline. Right here on the MBW Show. Kick it! MBW, folks! Welcome to the MBW Show. I am your host, MBW Champion, aka Michael the Magnificent. Hello, call me, thank you. Yeah, alright. Well, today's episode we are talking Zelda, my favorite topic in the world. And I will tell you where the new Wii U Zelda game will take place in the timeline, because most of my predictions have been pretty accurate. And you can take a look on like my old blogs and also my video game quizzes, and I like, especially with the Wii, regarding the Wii U and stuff, I'm pretty dead on with that. But I'm gonna go over the timeline and basically have an insight on where I think Nintendo is going with everything. So let's go ahead and move along and just get straight to the segment, and let's talk Zelda! Thank you, Michael. Welcome to the MBW Lounge, and this is where most of my serious stuff on my MBW show is going to take place, because I'm not going to be like joking around or anything. I am actually going to talk about the topic, which is Zelda. So let's go ahead and get into it. I have a lot to cover, so I'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Legend of Zelda. When it first started, it was interesting. It was an interesting storyline, because when it first started, they mentioned that there was a Triforce, except they only mentioned two pieces of the Triforce at the time, which was power and wisdom on part 1. So, you know, like in the storyline, it didn't really mention anything about the courage until part 2, so that's where like the courage took place in. What's interesting about Legend of Zelda is the story. The timeline in general makes no sense. And the reason why I brought up the first Zeldas was because The Legend of Zelda 2 was like the first time that Nintendo attempted a timeline thing, because basically part 2 explained a backstory of The Legend of Zelda. Basically what they said was that the first Zelda was had a horrible spell put on her, so she's been put to sleep, and the king basically named every princess that was in Hyrule Zelda, after the girl that was that had a spell put on her. So each princess was named Zelda, and it's funny because you wouldn't think that, because Nintendo usually doesn't do storylines, so you wouldn't think that they would try this for future games. Like, was this planned? Was this just a coincidence that they were going to make prequels and stuff? That's basically where it all started with the timeline, because, again, part 1, part 2 makes sense. Part 1 happens, Link is there. Link is still the same Link on part 2. Basically, everything still makes sense on that game. Except for the fact that, where was the other Zelda while he was saving this Zelda? I have no idea where she was, but that doesn't matter. Anyways, what I wanted to explain, I actually brought a board here, and we're going to put The Legend of Zelda 1. Maybe I should do this. Legend of Zelda 1. I'll just put Legend of Zelda. And then Zelda 2. So that's how the timeline was at this point. When A Link to the Past came out, in interviews, Miyamoto basically said that this game takes place after this game. So basically, Link to the Past comes after this game, and this is where it gets complicated, because when Ocarina of Time, and keep in mind, because like, yeah, Link's Awakening comes by here. Everything looks like it's going in order. Everything's cool. And I don't think Nintendo was really thinking about timeline-wise or anything like that until it got to Ocarina of Time, and they were like, ah, yeah, let's put Ocarina of Time over here. Problem with that was it was sort of like a prequel to like A Link to the Past. So like halfway during this period, they took back whatever they said in their interview, and A Link to the Past was actually put over here. So Link to the Past was over here, which actually makes sense if you like read the story. Like it's like, how does this come up before? Whatever. Anyways, we have this where, and then Link's Awakening is just put up in there, just odd things. But anyways, everybody, when Ocarina Time came out, everybody was just so occupied about the timeline, and that's where it basically really got started. And like nobody was thinking about timeline-wise. People just played games just to play games. They didn't really care too much about stories. But when Ocarina of Time came out, it was heavy. It's heavy storyline, and people were like, "Ah, that's true. Let's keep with that." This is where everything gets complicated. Wind Waker comes out. So Wind Waker, in interviews, comes after Ocarina of Time. Which, by the way, Majora's Mask is somewhere here, anyways. So Ocarina of Time comes out, and then Wind Waker comes out, but in the storyline, there's a flood. Where in the world does a flood come from? Like, so basically, it kind of messes up what happens here, because basically the whole imprisoning of Ganon, the whole Sacred Realm thing, the whole, like the original Zelda that was put to sleep. How could she be still asleep if she drowned in water? Just random things just start flowing through fans' minds, and Nintendo's answer was basically like, oh no, it does go like this. It goes bam, 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 bam. And where Link's Awakening, I think the Zelda website was trying to put it, it was like on the sail to the other island on Zelda 2. That's where Link's Awakening happened. I have no idea where they got that from, but anyways. So yes, this just got complicated, and with Twilight Princess, Nintendo actually got the fans' input, because in interviews they say that this was the route, but fans were like, this doesn't make sense because there's so much mistakes in the timeline. So the fans were like, what if there is, just like how futuristic time travel stuff happens, is what if Ocarina of Time has a split storyline, and basically where we have the Legend of Zelda series over here, like the retro ones, and then we have the Wind Waker. So wait, let me see. Wait, so A Link to the Past, and everything over here, and then we have the Wind Waker. Twilight Princess is over here. Whatnot. So when this happened, whoa, holy cow! There's a timeline. All the fans started fighting with each other, except in an interview when Twilight Princess came out, they said, indeed, there is a split storyline. So more games come out, all the spirit tracks and all of the, everything, but the main thing is there's certain games where things don't make sense in every storyline. And that brings us to the Nintendo's official timeline. I'm gonna flip this over just so I can write. This is the official timeline of The Legend of Zelda as we know right now. So first, it's Skyward Sword, and then it goes Ocarina of Time. And I'm not putting Minish Cap or anything. This is just the major events on things. So Nintendo, they said, let's split the timeline in 3 ways. Basically, where Link goes back in time, and then he's a little boy, turns in Ganon, and that starts Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, whatnot. And then we have the adult version, where the Hero of Time beat Ganon, and the whole Wind Waker thing happened, and all the Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks and everything. Spirit Tracks, not Spirit Swacks. Anyways, but then they said, and this is where everything, like, to me just doesn't make sense. Where it says, the hero was defeated. So the hero of time was defeated in this timeline. And basically this was a link to the past. So now, granted, now everything sort of makes sense. Everything's kind of falling in line. You know, of course there's a few hiccups along the way, but the timeline actually does make sense with this whole thing. I just want to have my opinion on this really quick. I think that this was a bullshit way of trying to get out of it, but because of Nintendo focusing on every time they make a game, this is how they make a game. They say, what mechanics can we do? Oh, let's do a gimmick where there's a lot of water so we can sail. Let's try to do this. Storyline is the last thing they think about, and I know it pisses all the fans, like a lot of the fans, including like all the newbie fans. I'm sorry to break your heart, but storyline is probably the last thing that they do. They make the gimmick, they make the like how everything's gonna be, what they're what they're aiming for, and then they do storyline. So don't tell me, oh, we're going to try to make a game right here, and then they don't do that. Trust me. They basically do experiments with that stuff, and then once they find a good gimmick, that's when they start going into storylines. Anyways, the reason why I bring that up is because each game, like Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, they all have really unique stuff, and basically that's the reason why the timelines start breaking each other. With Skyward Sword, you could tell now that Nintendo is actually thinking and caring about this timeline. They're actually trying to live up with the fans, because it wasn't their plan to make a timeline, but the fans wanted it, they craved it, they cried, they bitched, they moaned, including me, because I moaned the most, because I made the Hero of Dreams, I made my own storyline, until fucking Twilight Princess fucked up my storyline! Anyways, that's another story. But yeah, they made the official timeline for the fans. It's still a bullshit way of trying to do this. The reason why I'm saying it's bullshit, because you can always do, oh yeah, the Hero of Wind was defeated on this timeline. The Majora's Mask was defeated on this storyline. Oh, and on Skyward Sword, the bird never caught you, so this is a separate storyline. Basically, Nintendo could do this all day, any day, and just have a mess of timelines. But, all kidding aside, I think that they're going to stick with this. Unless they have a game that really breaks it, but I actually think that they are going to stick with this timeline, because I think now they are thinking about the fans, and because fans do want the timeline. I wanted to point that out because that's where I think this is going to come into play, where the next Zelda game is going to happen. So keeping in mind, Nintendo does now care where the storyline is. I want to show you something, and I think you guys are going to be surprised if you guys didn't really notice about this. So, we have three timelines, actually 4 timelines, because I'll circle the sections. So we have the beginning section. The beginning section is basically the birth, the creating of the legend. And then we have let me see, I'll just do the birth. So birth, legend. And then we have the serious, the dark storyline. And then we have the cartoon, the Wind Waker. And then we have the retro. Each Zelda game in the future, and this is what I believe, they can go, alright, what kind of game do we want to make? Do we want to make a serious one, a dark one? Do we want to make a cartoon one? Or do we want to make a retro one? And then they're going to add to the timeline from there. So, we just got a sequel to A Link to the Past with the Between Worlds. And the cartoon ones, they're still, doing like the Twilight Princess and all that. We just got the HD remake of that. And then the whole birth thing, they can basically make more storylines right here. Like if they want to have like the legend of how Link's first ancestor, like they can just do it in that timeline right here. So they already made this, they already made this, and they already made that. So here it is right here. The next Zelda is gonna be a dark, because I think that they're gonna be jumping around each timeline. So basically, I think the next Zelda game for the Wii U is gonna be dark. It's gonna be either a sequel of Majora's Mask, or it's gonna be right after Twilight Princess. But they could put it in the middle of this, so it could be a sequel of Majora's Mask, or it could be just like a, just continuing the storyline over here. I think they're gonna wait on a cartoon version. I think that'll probably be the next one in line, and I think they're gonna keep like the Game Boy ones in the whole retro area. So, and then like I would say like in 2 or 3 more Zeldas, they'll do like another one where we'll probably get like Ganon's storyline, backstory, and whatnot. So, anyways, there's my proof on where I think the Legend of Zelda is gonna go. Let me know what you think about this whole timeline where basically they can do anything. Like Nintendo could have 3 teams of Zelda, and they can be working them on at all time. One team does retro, one team does Toon Link, one Link does one team does this one, and they could just trade off. So yeah, let me know if you guys agree with this and whatnot. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Alright, thank you so much for watching another MBW show. Next week, I will not have an episode. It's going to be in 2 more weeks. The reason being is because I'm finally releasing a top 10 video. Oh my goodness, hasn't it been a long time for you guys to see a top 10? Yes, it has. Alright, so since I'm releasing a top 10 video, I'm just going to have it so it's not overshadowed with anything else. I'm probably going to do that with all my top 10 videos. Maybe I'm going to try to do a monthly. We'll see what happens. No promises there. But next week I'm going to post that top 10 video, and then following next week we will bring back the MBW show. So no worries, folks. Hopefully you guys like this episode. Please subscribe, like, share, all that jazz. And I will see you guys next time on the MBW show.